Today's all about great performers. If you're wanting to get the most bang for your buck, get some products that will actually last a long time on your skin and get you through a work day and then some, you're going to want to look into these. So given the time of year that we're heading into, this list is going to be cooler weather leaning. Most of these are fall and winter scents. There are plenty out there that are on the fresher end of things that will provide a similar performance benchmark as well. But we're not really focusing on those right now, and I have done videos on those in the past. So what you're going to be looking at here primarily are simply sweet, heavy, dense fragrances. Some of these have a little bit more of a daring approach. Some are going to be a lot more mass-pleasing. So there's kind of a little bit of everything for everybody here. We're going to get things kicked off with the designer. It's Armani Stronger With You Tobacco. So nice red tobacco note with that original Armani Stronger With You base, that tonka bean, chestnut, kind of sweet modern smell. But the red tobacco here, it is a key player, and that's what's going to give it a little bit more of a forward punch, a little bit more of an interesting, strong backbone. A lot of times you'll see Stronger With You catch a little bit of hate or negativity because they are just very, very generic leaning. And again, I love those scents, so it's not meant to be an insult to those, but they don't really appeal to the people who are looking for something unique. And this one is a step in the right direction, but again, still Stronger With You DNA here. So a familiar smell, but just something that's gonna give you a bit extra. And the tobacco here is fantastic. I love tobacco fragrances. It's one of my favorite notes, and they did it right. I was kind of worried going into it. I thought, maybe they're just going to string us along. They're going to put tobacco in the name, going to put it in the notes, but you're not going to pick up on it. That's not the case at all. They did this one right. Stronger With You, absolutely. Stronger With You Oud, intensely. For the most part, all of them have great performance. This one is just one that I'm throwing in because, I don't know, it's talked about a bit less than some of the others. If you wanted to play it as safe as possible, Stronger With You absolutely would probably be the one to go with. But if you want something different to stand out with great performance, check out Stronger With You Tobacco. Parfums de Marly Laton Exclusive. Another one that is just a little bit more daring. Not in a huge way, but compared to regular Laton, definitely a bit more interesting. It's got Gaiac wood, vanilla, some nice coffee in here, some animalic notes as well. Also getting a bit of almond and so much more. Go look at the full notes if you're interested. There's a lot going on. You're still getting that original latent smell buried somewhere deep in the dry down, but a lot of those other notes that I just mentioned really come into play to separate this from that original. So I do find it to be a lot more unique. I find it to be more of an interesting wearing experience. And again, I also love the original Laton. It's one of my favorites. But one of the things you'll hear people say is that it's, it's not really all that niche smelling for being a niche fragrance commanding a niche price, right? Say that a whole bunch of times. Niche, niche, niche. It's expensive stuff and it might not give the uniqueness that you want. Laton Exclusive fixes that issue. Some people might actually not like this one either, so you have to be a little bit careful, where I think the original Laton could be a safe blind buy if you know what you like. This one might require a bit more thought or research. Not saying that you couldn't blind buy it and get away with it. I did, and I love it, but it's not for everybody. But I do like that smoky, textured, spicy, and animalic approach that this one has. Still nothing extreme, but something that is going to be a little bit more exciting. The original Laton is already a good performer, but this one, it is even better. Les Beaux Les Parfums. Now, this is actually going to be about the only warm weather oriented scent. However, it's still sweet. So even though, for a lot of us, we're not in summer anymore, kind of heading into fall and winter, you could wear this one right now, no problems. I don't think it's going to be too out of place. Do I think there are better scents for the time of year? Absolutely. But given the sweetness that this one has, it will work. It's got a lot of coconut, quite a bit of pineapple, and of course another very common note, tonka bean. Getting a little bit of iris in here as well. Not a whole lot, doesn't make it an iris scent, but they've dabbled with that note in other Le Male fragrances here and there, like in Le Male Le Parfum, and they're putting it here in Le Beau Le Parfum as well. Just kind of a common trendy note that is giving this DNA just an added touch of a creaminess. It smells like just, I don't know, a summer vacation to me. And given that sweetness, it's not going to be something that everybody would feel comfortable wearing in the dead of summer. Maybe more of a summer evening or indoor use type of deal. So I guess the cold weather could be beneficial to this one to help balance it out just a little bit. But one thing's for sure, it has really, really strong performance. I mean, you're not going to have too many issues with this one at all. Spray it on in the morning, you're pretty much going to be set for the rest of the day. You're not going to have to worry about it. This is another one where if you know what you like, pretty easy to get into. Some people might not really enjoy the overwhelming sweetness that one gives off, so something to keep in mind. We have Killian Angel's Share. I love this stuff, and so many of you guys do too as well. And I mean, it still is very popular. Quite the trendy release, and it's been out for a couple of years now. There are tons and tons of clones at this point. So if you don't want to spend this amount of money, you could go for something like Amir Fire Your Desire or Latafa, Camra, so many others. It's got cognac, cinnamon, praline, vanilla in here as well. It's boozy, sweet, warm, rich, and spicy. It's a Killian scent, and that is kind of what they're known for. Fragrances that just have that sweet, gourmand, edible nature to them. Gourmand, edible kind of means the same thing, but you get what I'm saying. They all are really good at that. And I think when it comes to, when I think of a gourmand scent, if I'm in the mood to wear one, I pretty much always go to the house of Killian Paris by Killian, whatever you want to call them. I don't know what they officially go by these days. I think maybe still by Killian, I suppose, but these are just some of the best that you can get. And so as I mentioned earlier, it's a bit of money. If you don't want to spend this much, there are clones, and the clones perform really good as well. So you shouldn't have too much of an issue there. But if you do decide to go, for the real deal, you're getting great performance out of it. You're getting great quality, and it is unique. Obviously, it's been cloned a bunch, and so that kind of dilutes the uniqueness because the scent DNA becomes more common. But this is where it started, really. And so on its own, at face value, not taking into consideration all of the copycats, it's a pretty unique release. So you're spending a lot, but it's a good investment as well. Up next, we have the new Hugo Boss Bottled Absolute. So as I mentioned, the new one, at one point they had a Boss Bottled Absolute, then they discontinued it, and now years later, well, we have a new version of it. It's got patchouli, incense, myrrh, and leather, and I'm trying to get this to show on camera, and it shows really well in pictures. The gradient is amazing. So you see it's just kind of a dark color up here, and at the very, very bottom, just this little piece here has a nice kind of golden amber color to it. It looks incredible. As I mentioned, it's much more pronounced in pictures. In person, it's a little bit less perceivable, but I mean, still very much there, but the pictures really make this bottle look amazing. And honestly, it's probably one of the best looking Boss Bottled bottles presentations that they've had over the years, and they've had quite a few. I think this stuff looks amazing. I'm partly biased to that because I'm also taking into consideration the smell, which I absolutely love as well. I already read off those notes. It's actually a little bit similar to Boss Bottled Elixir, which I also am a huge fan of. And the main player with this one is the patchouli, a very nice, masculine, rich, warm, seductive patchouli scent with a bit of a smoky incense, nice leather combination as well. They absolutely hit it out of the park with this one. I don't think that there's anything about this that could be made better. I just think it's incredible all the way through. From start to finish, performance, quality, uniqueness, this has it all. So I think you're looking at about $140 at retail for 100 ml. It's not cheap, but also compared to a lot of elixirs, it's not as much as those, right? Price per milliliter wise, this one works out to be not as expensive, but still a bit of a premium. It has been hitting discounters though for just under $100. Already a pretty decent amount of savings there. You know, if you're able to save $40, $45 off of retail, to me, that's great. It's off to a great start. Now it does sell quick on discounters, so you have to catch it at the right time, but it's you know, getting there. And I personally believe that it's worth it at retail. Does that mean everybody should go out and buy it at retail? Not necessarily, but I don't feel as though I'm not getting a good return for the money spent at the retail price. But I especially think it's an amazing deal at $97, $100. I mean, it's a no-brainer to me. Great performer, as I already mentioned, so you're not going to have any problems with that. At least most people won't, unless you just have unlucky skin chemistry. Parfum Intense, I guess it's a true parfum. It performs like one. Fragrance World Liquid Brun is up next. So this is actually a Parfums de Marly Altair clone. I already included one PDM. I have quite a few niche fragrances in the video. I figured, you know what, let's not get too carried away with overpriced, expensive stuff, and overpriced, I guess, is one way to describe it as well. So you can get Liquid Brun for about $40, and it smells very similar. It has all of that cinnamon, the cardamom, a ton of vanilla and tonka. It's kind of like a roasted cappuccino chestnut warm spicy gourmand is how I describe this DNA. So very, very sweet. That's important, guys. Remember, you know, sweet is the new thing. It's just very common. It's the trend right now. People are seeing how sweet they can get men's fragrances, it seems like. And so, again, not everybody's into that. So think that through before jumping into a full bottle. In this case, you know, this isn't a lot of money, the clone, but if you wanted to get Altair, maybe sample it first. We do have samples up on our website, along with most of these as well. decantcenter.com, first link down below. We'd love to help you out. Try before you buy and save yourself a lot of money. And maybe one of these you don't like, but you sample it first. That could be beneficial. 1 Million Royal is up next. I don't really talk about this one all that much, but I do think it's pretty good. You know, the 1 Million line has had so many ups and downs, right? I mean, they've had so many good ones, then they discontinue them. They've had so many bad ones that they'll keep around for a while and then eventually discontinue them. You know, it's frustrating. Keep the good stuff around, would you? But they don't do that, and it's sales driven, I'm sure. You know, when things like 1 Million Privé don't perform as good as the others, they just get rid of it and they don't care what we think. This one's got cardamom, benzoin, and cedarwood. It's just a few of the notes. There's quite a bit more. There's some lavender in here as well. It's nothing overly exciting, so don't get your hopes up, but it's very pleasant. Actually has kind of a fresh floral component off the opening, which is kind of something that'll catch you by surprise. And then it dries down to something much sweeter. Not a ton of cardamom, even though it's listed. Or is it? I just said it, right? Yeah, cardamom. It is listed. Not a ton, okay? So I do wish that they would have included that a bit more. You do pick up on it. It's just, I'm spoiled with La Nuit de l'Homme cardamom, and so many of you guys probably are as well. Nothing quite stacks up to that. So, you know, not to that level. It is there just enough. Could use a bit more, and I think if they would have focused more on that note, it would have made this scent more interesting overall. Bond number 9, New Harlem, probably one of the most realistic smelling gourmands when it comes to coffee and breakfast. Sounds really weird, but it has a very prominent roasted coffee note. And then something that I would describe as a maple syrup and pancake smell. It sounds completely weird. You're probably thinking, yeah, right. And I didn't come up with that either, okay? I've seen that online, other reviews and stuff, and I thought the same thing. I'm thinking, yeah, there's no way. And then I got this one in and I smelled it for the first time and I was like, they are 100% right. It's very weird, but it has a syrup, sweet coffee smell. It smells like breakfast in the morning. It is so weird, but it's true. So this one is definitely not going to be for everybody. Might not be something you want to rush into a blind buy, especially because it is a little bit more expensive. You know, it's a 100 ml bottle, but I don't know, 160, 170, somewhere around in there. Could be off on that. Not cheap, but you know, quite a bit daring. Maybe not even necessarily daring as the right word, but it's very specific. You know, not everybody is going to like this, so keep that in mind. But it is an amazing performer for better or for worse. So if you don't like this and you spray it on, you are going to have to scrub this stuff off with plenty of soap and hot water. I mean, it really hangs on. Good old Tom Ford Tuscan Leather will never let you down. It is a powerhouse of a scent. Strong, rich, animalic leather. Very, very earthy and spicy. Same thing here. Not necessarily blind buy encouraged unless you really know what you're getting into. I blind bought this one just like I have with most of my fragrances, and I love it, but that's not going to be the case for everybody, so keep that in mind. Plenty of clones for this one as well. You could get something like Rasasi La Yucawam, which is not cheap. I mean, it's still $60 or $70, but in comparison to this, it is considerably more affordable, and it's about as close as you can get. So that's probably a direction I would recommend a lot of people to go if you're not wanting to spend a lot of money, because this one is kind of hard to justify even at discounters. These 50 ml bottles are still pricey. So check out the clones. There are plenty others out there as well. Latafa Woody, or not Woody Oud, that's Oud Wood, but there's I don't know, Tuscano Leather by Alhambra, and just a whole bunch of them that you can look into that are a fraction of the cost. We're gonna end this video with Sauvage Elixir. It's all about warm spices and sandalwood. I mean, that's it. Cinnamon, cardamom, licorice, nutmeg. I'm always missing a few. I can never remember all of them. There's one or two more. And then, like I mentioned, the sandalwood. It smells nothing like Dior Sauvage at all. It's kind of a confusing one. It could be a bit misleading. You might expect this to be like the most extreme blue fragrance ever, but it's not really a blue fragrance at all. No ambroxan, no bergamot pepper combination like in Sauvage EDT. It's a different one. So also not going to be for everybody, but you know, going to appeal to more people than the last couple. I think everybody should try this one out. Head into any local department store if you have, you know, department stores nearby, and they should have this one if you wanted to try it in person just to see, because like I mentioned, this is not going to be going away ever, okay? And you're always going to hear about it, and it's expensive, right? So the sooner you at least try it, at least you know what everybody's talking about, for better or for worse. Some people hate it, some people love it. I'm sure some people are in the middle, but I feel like this is more of either a love or hate type of thing. I love it. I think it's a great one. Absolutely beast mode. Again, the price is the issue. It's expensive. 60 ml for $140, $150. That's a lot of money, but at least it does make up for it in terms of quality, performance, and uniqueness. We do have samples of that one up on our website as well if you wanted to buy a sample of it and have it shipped right to you. That's going to do it for me, guys. Some great performing fragrances that will just get you through the day without worry. All these will be linked down below, so if you're looking for full bottles, check it out. If you're looking to try before you buy, we do have most of these on our website, decantcenter.com. We got free shipping over $49, free sample with every order, great rewards program as well, pay over time options if you're placing a big order. We love to help you out and earn your business and get you some new scents to try out at a fraction of the cost. Thank you guys so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you tomorrow with another one. Take care.